A very good morning, dear students. Today, in measurement and effects of heat, we are going to learn about the sources of heat and what is meant by temperature. Fine. Now, there are different sources of heat as I mentioned to you. So let's learn few of them. One of the sources of heat is sun. You know that sun is the ultimate source. Ultimate source means it is the only source from which all the other object in the solar system gets heat as well as light, and therefore since sun is the only source which gives energy to others, we say sun is the ultimate source of energy. So sun is the biggest source of heat received by the earth. So it is one of the biggest sources of the heat which is received by the earth more than others. Fine. A large amount of heat is generated due to nuclear fusion taking place in its center. Okay, you have learned about nuclear fission, which we are going to talk little later when we are talking about atomic energy. Now, this is something called as fusion, nuclear fusion. Now, what is that nuclear fusion and how does it generate this heat? It is simple. Okay, now here in the sun there is a tremendous amount of hydrogen nuclei. Okay, there are tremendous amount of hydrogen nuclei, and you know hydrogen has two isotopes, that is one is deuterium, second one is tritium, and both of them being isotopes, they are radioactive in nature. Or why they are radioactive, it's because they are unstable. Okay, and that is why they are radioactive in nature. That means they give out radiations. Fine. Now since they are unstable, what happens is that they just combine to form something called as a helium nuclei. Okay, by giving out one neutron and one proton. Fine. And in this way helium is formed. So when two hydrogen nuclei, that is deuterium and tritium, you can see they are combining. You can see that four one proton is given out to one proton or one neutron is given out, and two protons are formed, and two protons means nothing but they are present in the helium nucleus. Fine. So here what is happening is that because of the fusion of the hydrogen atom to form a helium nuclei, what happens is that lot of heat energy is given during this reaction. And so we say since there is lot of hydrogen atoms or hydrogen nuclei are combining every second in the in the sun, and it releases, whenever it fuses, it releases large amount of heat energy. And so what happens, a lot of heat is generated because of this process, and this process is nothing but called as nuclear fusion, because here two hydrogen nuclei, that is deuterium and tritium, are fusing to form two atomic number, that is helium. Fine. So when it is forming helium, it is giving lot of energy. Fine. So this is why sun radiates large amount of heat energy. Okay. Next, some of its heat reaches the earth in the form of both light and heat, because when the sun is burning, in the sense when heat is produced, the sun is looking like as if it is burning, and when it is burning it emits that light of burning. That is why the light of the heat which is produced here actually creates light, and that light only reaches on the some amount of it reaches on the earth. Both. Okay, energy reaches in the form of both light as well as heat. Fine. So this is regarding the sun, how sun is the source of heat. Next is our earth. Okay, how earth can be a source of heat. Now earth has different layers, that is the uppermost layer is called as the crust, then there is mantle, and innermost is the core. Okay, since it is innermost, the pressure and the temperature inside is very large, because of which there is lot of heat in the center of the earth. Center of the earth is nothing but the core. So therefore, since even the core of the earth has lot of heat. Earth also can be called as source of heat, and this heat which is present inside the earth is also called as geothermal energy. Geo means earth, thermal means heat. Okay, remember this, geothermal energy. The energy present, the heat energy present within the earth is called as geothermal energy. And you are going to learn about this in 10th standard, about how geothermal energy can be used to produce electricity. Okay, so this is another thing, that is earth can also become source of heat. Next we will move on to the chemical energy, how chemical energy can produce heat. Now there are various substances called as fuels. Fuels are those substances which ultimately burns, are called as fuel. So when fuels like wood or coal, petrol, etc. burn, so there is a chemical reaction taking place. Actually what is happening is that they are burning in presence of oxygen, and fine, and when they are burning in presence of oxygen, what is produced? Heat is produced during combustion. This process is also called as combustion of the fuels. Okay, fuels can be any substance that burns. So that various fuels like fossil fuels are used. Then coal is one of the fossil fuels. Then in the villages and all, people make food on the chula by using the wood as well as the coal. Fine. So petrol, diesel, all these fossil fuels also generate lot of heat due to chemical reaction when they undergo burning, that is also called as combustion in presence of oxygen. So they give large amount of heat. So heat is generated in these reactions. So this is another one, that is chemical energy can also be a source of heat. Next one is electrical energy. You are going to learn in standard 10th about the heating effects of electric current. Okay, so from which various equipments are made, that is electrical gadgets or equipments are made, like electric iron, electric toaster, electric heater, electric geyser. All these are working on the principle of heating effect of the electric current. That means even electricity is producing large amount of heat, and this heat energy can be used in these type of instruments, or you can say electrical gadgets. So electrical equipments like electric iron, heater works on the principle of heating effect of the electric current. Thus even electricity is also a source of heat. Next, let us move on to the next part of the lesson, that is atomic energy. Okay, now how atomic energy generates this heat? You have learned in the previous chapter about nuclear fission. Just now we have learned about fusion. Now fission means splitting, fusion means meeting, fusing, whereas fission means splitting. Remember this, fission means splitting. Okay, now you have learned in the earlier chapter, that is inside the atom, you have learned about what is meant by nuclear fission. Here that the radioactive substance like uranium or maybe plutonium are used as fuel in the nuclear reactor or the atomic reactor. So what happens is that a neutron is bombarded, slow moving neutron is bombarded on a radioactive isotope like that of the uranium. And uranium 235, the number atomic mass of uranium is 235. Actual uranium, that is uranium 230 to uranium 235, there are different isotopes of uranium. Suppose now uranium 235 we talk about, if the uranium 235 is bombarded with a neutron, it will get added to the atom, okay, and it will become uranium 236. So uranium 236 is a unstable one, and therefore it splits into two things, that is barium and krypton, and by releasing 3 neutrons. So these 3 neutrons again go and get bombarded with other uranium atom, and this goes on creating a chain. Okay, that reaction is also called as chain reaction, or also called as nuclear fission. So whenever this nuclear fission is taking place, a lot of heat energy is generated. So therefore we say that atomic energy also creates lot of heat, or it is also a source of heat energy which can be also used to produce electricity. Fine, so that you are going to study in standard 10. So a huge amount of heat is produced in a very short time when the nuclei of some atoms like uranium, thorium, plutonium, these are all called as radioactive isotopes, okay, undergo fissions, and this is used in atomic energy projects. So this is regarding the atomic energy can also become one of the source of the heat. Okay, now last part is another one, that is air. Okay, large amount of heat is present in the air around us. Okay, why that heat is present? Because air consists of the different types of gases like that of carbon dioxide, get sulfur dioxide, other gases are there, which are nothing but actually greenhouse gases. Which greenhouse gases are those gases which help in trapping the heat of the sun. Fine. So these, since these gases are present in the air and which are able to trap the heat of the sun, okay, these are present in the air, and air is a mixture of these gases. Therefore, we say that air also becomes a source of heat. So even large amount of heat is present in the air around us. So this is regarding the different sources of heat. We have now talked about the source. First source is sun, then earth we have talked about, and we have talked about chemical energy, electrical energy, atomic energy, and even air. Fine. So now let's move on to the next part of the lesson, that is temperature. Okay, how do we say that a given object is hot or cold? How can we say that a given substance is a hot or cold? By touching it, right? By simply touching any given substance, we come to know that a given substance is hot or cold, right? Suppose like this, if it is given, okay, you can touch and see, find out whether a given substance is hot or cold. So we normally use a sense of touch to decide the hotness or coldness of a given substance. But is it correct to do it so? No. Is it always you will get an accurate reading of the temperature by just touching it? No, my dear students. So at least in the case of when precisions are required, like for example when somebody is fallen ill and he or she has got temperature, then can we just touch and tell how much is the temperature? No. How much person is fevering from fever, sorry, person is suffering from fever, we cannot tell. So in such cases we cannot just predict by touching the person. Okay, so for that an instrument is required. Okay, that instrument is called as the thermometer. Fine, but let us now try to find out how we can come to know whether a given substance, how from why we cannot use this method of just touching and finding out whether a given substance is hot or cold. So through a small activity, our sense of touch is relative. That means we cannot just predict whether what can be the temperature of a particular substance. So let's perform a small activity here. Okay, so wherein you will come to know how we can why we say that the sense of touch is relative. Okay, so for that we require to take 3 bowls and label them as A, B, C. In the first bowl, we will take some hot water. In the C, we will put lukewarm water, and in B, we will put cold water. Now, we will place right hand in the case of hot water and left hand in the case of the cold water. And now together we will put in the lukewarm water. Now what do we feel? Now when suppose if we keep in first hot water, that is A, right hand in the hot water, and B, cold water, that is left hand, for some time, that is for 1 minute. Okay, and then put both the hands in the lukewarm water, what do we feel? Okay, we find that after some time, that your right hand will find that the water is cold. Okay, in the lukewarm water, see, it is at the same temperature, but right hand will find it cold and left hand will find it hot. Now why is this so? When the temperature of the sea, bowl sea is same, right hand is finding it cold and left hand is finding it's hot. Yes, you are right. It's because the right hand was first immersed in the hot water, and when it was put in lukewarm water, that lukewarm water we find it as cold. Fine. Whereas the left hand was first dipped in the cold water and then we put it in the lukewarm water, we find it little warm. Now, therefore, from this we can understand that hot and cold are understood in relative context only. It does not give us the accurate measure. We cannot get an accurate measure by just dipping our hand in the hot or cold object. It gives us relative sensation. From this we can come to know. Okay, so therefore from this activity we understand that hot and cold are understood in relative context only. Fine. So we cannot determine the temperature of an object accurately by simply touching it. From this we can understand. Fine. Now even if we just touch, sometimes we may get hurt. So this is also very bad, right? It may be also bad that we just, so therefore there is a need of some device for the measurement of temperature. And thermometer is such a device for measuring the temperature. Fine. Last year you have learned about the thermometer, about its reading, how you can take the readings on a thermometer. So we cannot simply find out. So from this activity we have understood some few things. One is by simply touching the object, we cannot find out whether a given substance has that particular temperature. Okay, hot or cold we cannot find out because it is a relative concept. For that we require some measuring instrument which will give you accurate reading. Okay, something which will determine accurately, and that is nothing but a thermometer. So you have learned about thermometer in the previous grade, that it is divided into different divisions, and each of the smallest division is 1 degree Celsius. Fine. So we are going to learn about thermometer in detail in the next video. But before that we are going to learn about something called as heat and temperature. Okay, what is the difference between heat and temperature, as well as what are the similarities between heat and temperature in the next video. So till then students, bye and thank you.